Good day, ma'am. My name is Julian Irish Maglana, and the assigned topic that I will recite is the section 18 to 22. So, section 18, discharge of accused operates as acquittal. So, this provision basically says that an accused person's discharge is regarded as an acquittal, which means the charges against them are dropped unless the accused fails or refuses to testify against their co-accused in accordance with their sworn statement that resulted in their discharge. So this discharge protects them from prosecution for the same offense in the future. So in short, the released person is granted immunity provided they fulfill their responsibility to testify against other parties engaged in the case. So section 19, when mistake has been made in charging the proper offense. So when the wrong offense is being charged, section 19 addresses those circumstances. So the accused will not be released from custody if there are good grounds to keep them there, even if it turns out before a decision is rendered that they cannot be found guilty of the crime they are accused of, or any other crimes that is related to the original charge. So instead, upon the finding of the correct information, the court will dismiss the initial case and amend the changes to reflect the correct offense. So this guarantees that the charges brought against the accused are appropriate given the facts and the evidence in the case. Section 12, appointment of acting prosecutor. This section describes the process for designating an acting prosecutor in the event that the designated prosecutor, their deputy or their assistant is incapable of carrying out their duties because they are disqualified as per Rule 131 of Section 1 or for any other reason. In these situations, the appointment of an acting prosecutor will be requested by the judge or the remaining prosecutors by contacting the Secretary of Justice. This makes sure that even if the initial prosecutor is not present or disqualified, the legal process can go forward without any problems. Section 21, inclusion of the public. This provision gives the judge the power to keep the public out of the courtroom in a specific situations. First off, if the judge feels that any evidence that is going to be given during the trial is insulting to the public morality or decency, they have the authority to act independently. So in addition, the judge may decide to keep the public out of the trial on the accused's request, with the exception of the court staff and the parties' authorities. So this section attempts to safeguard the trial participants' feelings as well as the fairness of the judicial process. And lastly, this section 22, consolidation of trials or of related offenses. So in this section allows for the consolidation of trials for related offenses if charges are based on the same set of facts or are part of a series of offenses that are similar in nature. The court has the discretion to decide whether to try them jointly. In other words, if multiple offenses stem from the same underlying event or have similar characteristics, they can be combined into a single trial. This consolidation streamlines legal proceedings and ensure efficiency in the judicial process by avoiding redundant trials for closely linked offenses.